Hello everyone and welcome to my new channel. My name's Sue and this is my bountiful acre. Well, it's going to be eventually. We have recently moved to Cheshire and bought our dream home and it's on just shy of an acre. So I can't wait to get my hands dirty. It's the beginning of August, so we may have missed the beginning of the planting season, but I did grow a few things before we left our previous house. So I've got quite a lot of tomatoes on the go at the minute and various flowers, which I'll show you now. So come with me and I'll show you around. Right, well, as you come out of the back door, I have lined up all my tomatoes against the wall because it gets the sun for most of the day here and they're doing amazingly well. I mean, I wasn't intending to plant anything, sorry about the airplane going over, but I've got some beautiful pink Brandywine beefsteak tomatoes growing. So as you can see, we've got some San Mazzanos that are just starting to turn. We've got some beautiful baby beefsteaks growing here. We've got a few sun golds, just waiting on the traffic. We have got not a major road next to us, it's just a country lane, but you do get a fair bit of traffic running alongside, so I have to be quick with my comments so that we can miss the traffic. But as you can see, lots of lovely tomatoes coming on. I had a teeny tiny greenhouse at my disposal at my previous house. So as you come out the back door, we've got a gate to the side, and then this area here, as you can see, it's mostly grass at the minute. This is where I intend to put my vegetable kitchen garden. The majority of the garden is grass. Grass has not always been my favourite thing, but the previous people who lived here were downsizing, so they very kindly left us their ride-on mower, which has been a bliss. Such fun driving around. We are next to a couple of milk farms, so there's a lot of tractors. I'm sorry about the noise. Some of the features that we're sort of faced with are these two rather large raised borders, which are a little bit overgrown and need a bit of attention. There was a dead conifer in one of these borders around this side, but this is the spot that gets the most sun in the evening. It's one of the last sunny spots, so I intend to put a little seat here, I think, with a sort of hard standing underneath. And a lot of these shrubs do need pruning, so I do need to get my secateurs out and give them a good going over. But yeah, I thought I might put some herbs in here. This side, there are some raised beds that the previous occupants had in. The soil in them is pretty good, to be honest, but the woodwork is rotting. So one of my first projects is to build a brand new greenhouse, and we're going to remove these two and put it here because it's the sunniest spot in the garden and it's facing roughly in the right direction, east-west. I have actually planted stuff since I got here already. I couldn't resist it. The soil was so great. I didn't have to do very much, to be honest. So I've put in my squash plants that I grew before I left the previous property. And there are some raspberries in here. I haven't weeded this bit yet, but as you can see, the woodwork is rotten. Some lovely rocket coming up there. Came up very quickly. Some salad leaves, but they seem to be getting munched already. And a few dwarf beans. I don't know whether I'll have time. That looks like it's been eaten as well, to be honest. But I've got my squash in. These are garlic chives and the zinnias I grew from seed, and they're a bit leggy, but I got them in. They did leave behind lots of lovely black currants and some gooseberries and some strawberries, but as you can see, it's all a bit overgrown, so I need to tackle that. But as you can see, we've got a lovely big straight line and a beautiful native hedge. It's mostly hawthorn, but as you can see, it's got fabulous berries on it now. Look at those, aren't they amazing? Birds are going to have a feast this year. There are some dog roses and a bit of ivy in the hedgerow as well, so lots of lovely nesting sites and food for the wildlife, which is something we really want to encourage. So yes, as I say, we're going to have to tackle these two beds, possibly half of this one as well, because we're going to get a brand new greenhouse, which is going to be the biggest one I've ever had, at 10 foot by 18 foot. We have got a small greenhouse here, but as you can see, it's looking a bit worse for wear. But I am going to leave that for now because it will be useful for storing plants. It's got a pane of glass missing, but there's a couple of spares. And then we come to the bottom corner, which is what we call the falling down shed, because as you can see it's on a little bit of a lean and the door's wonky, but it's basically full of cardboard at the moment from the boxes that we've unpacked. So this is the raised beds from the other side. As you can see, there's a lot of what I assume used to be dwarf conifers, now somewhat overgrown. Hollies, beautiful berberis. Yeah, there's quite a lot in there that I can rejuvenate. So the greenhouse, as I say, is a little bit past its best, but never look a gift horse in the mouth. They did leave me these tomatoes. I think they must be Million Bells, because there are literally thousands of fruits on them. Look at these. How amazing. I'm going to have to harvest some. There are some ready in the background there, if you can see them. I did bring my aubergine. They're doing really well, considering I've neglected practically everything because of the move. They're looking nice and glossy though, so I'm quite pleased with them, even though they're small. I have got some little chilli plants. These took quite a while to get going, I have to say, even though they were in a greenhouse. These are called lemon drop chilies. They were from Real Seeds. They were really, really slow to germinate, but maybe I'll be able to keep them going over winter. And then we've got some peppers, also looking a bit sad. More chilies. We have actually got some fruits on them, so I'm not too sad about that. Considering I was writing off the whole year, I'm quite pleased I've got something to show for it. It's all a bit untidy at the moment, so there's a lot of clearing up to do. But if I walk you down this side, which is the noisy side, by the way, this is the road side, but it's Sunday, so less traffic on a Sunday. I thought I'd get you out and about while it's quiet. We have, of course, got this magnificent willow tree, which my husband Doug has nicknamed Animal, because he said it reminded him of the drummer Animal out of the Muppets. And we've got this Mirabelle, I think, rather than yellow plum. Anyway, it had yellow fruits on it, which mostly fell to the ground and got eaten by the wasps. But the ones we did get before the flies and wasps were delicious. So that needs a bit of a prune before it's too late. This is the conifer we cut back. And my intention is, we took all the branches off obviously, is to cut these into rounds and make that little seating area over there maybe, or use them as a bit of a pathway into a woodland area I want to create. So we have got some beautiful specimen trees. This is a type of oak apparently, pendulous oak or something. And as we come down this side, we have got some beautiful silver birch, which I would like to make into more of a woodland area rather than just have them sat in grass. Any ideas for how to tackle this would be greatly appreciated. Obviously we want some underplanting. I've ordered bulbs, but I'd like some perennials underneath. Do I remove the grass first, or should I just cover it with cardboard and mulch? And I don't want it to look like an oblong in the middle of the grass. I've got to blend it in somehow. I think possibly I need a few more trees, possibly a rowan or something like that, and maybe a few shrubs. Obviously we've got the native hedge at the back there, and then underplanting with ferns and beautiful woodland plants and bulbs. So that's a project for the autumn. Behind that we have got this stunning hornbeam. Isn't that gorgeous? If you're going crossways, we've got 3 very sad looking plum trees. I did prune them. Right, and walking straight across, we have got 2 more fabulous willow trees. And in the middle here, we've got a fabulous maple. But we've got a lovely little shady area under here. Again, native hedge all the way around, which is amazing. It's so beautiful being under here when they're blowing in the breeze. It's like a little Heidi den. Really pretty. And now we're walking down the right-hand side if you're coming out of the house. And there's a bit of a wonky path along by the neighbour's hedge. And a tree which turns out is a kind of conifer. But it's not like any conifer I've ever seen, because the leaves are beautifully soft and segregated, really nice. And there are two of those. There's one smack bang in the middle, which is so beautiful. And then carrying on along this side, we have got some plants established. We've got some roses, and obviously some clematis have gone. Evidence of, still just about visible, little clematis, beautiful. Some peonies, some beautiful agapanthus, more roses. There is a fabulous passion flower growing here. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And it's doing quite well. I think this needs a bit of a prune as well though. More peonies, and over in the corner here there is a big fern which I could move to the woodland area, I think. And then we've got this, which I can't decide what it is. It looks a bit like a magnolia, but it's a bit late to be flowering. Maybe it's some sort of rhododendron or something. And just out of our gate here, I've got this lovely hydrangea. And then we've got this area here, which is, I'll explain what I'm going to do with that shortly. So the patio area. As you can see, I've brought lots of lovely plants with me. I've got my roses. So this is Gertrude Jekyll from David Austin. Beautiful, smells amazing. We've got some echinacea that are going over, but I can't bring myself to deadhead because look at the colour of the, I don't know if that's showing up to be honest, but look at the colour of that. It's orange, beautiful colour. They start off orange when they first come out, and then the middle section gets pink, and then they go darker pink as they get older. Really lovely, like that. Got that from Farmer Gracie. This is a blue salvia that I grew from seed, also going over a little bit. And a grass that I grew at the other house, can't remember the name of, but turns a beautiful orange in the autumn time. So I've got lots of things I can divide. Another rose, but there isn't actually a rose on it at the moment. This is the Generous Gardener. A couple of lavenders. This is my favourite rose at the moment. Isn't she beautiful? This is Elizabeth. She smells lovely. She's very delicate. Starts off peachy pink, gets a yellow centre and then fades to cream really nicely. We've got a beautiful dahlia here. This is called Cafe au lait. It's not as coffee coloured as I was expecting. I thought it was going to be more coffee, fading to cream. Got a bit of Monardia and a lupin, which was a lovely dark purple. Here is a a rambler that I had to prune really hard to move because it was climbing through a frame. I didn't know whether it was going to survive, but it's put on all this growth in about a month and it's even started flowering again. So Malvern Hills, this one's called. Really, really pretty. And this one is called the Pilgrim. That's a climber. This is a new purchase. My friend and I went down to David Austin. This one is called Lark Ascending. Isn't she gorgeous? This is a shrub rose and she grows to about 5 foot round. And then moving around the kitchen wall, I've got some Goldstrom that I grew from seed. Lots of lovely cosmos and verbena. I actually took some cuttings off a fig and I got 3 and they all took. So I'm hoping that'll come true. It's brown turkey, which is, easier to grow in the UK. And then we've got this amazing dahlia, whose name I can't remember, but I'll look it up for you. Let me just see. I've got a label. This is the same one, believe it or not. Doesn't look the same, does it? It starts off more yellow. This one is called Labyrinth. That was also from Farmer Gracie, but I don't know why this one's 3 times the size, but it's got some amazing new buds coming on it. More cosmos, more grass, some sage. Yeah, more dahlias and some strappy plants that I bought in the supermarket. They were a bargain compared to the garden centre. So they're going to go into a little gravel area I have planned. Right, so we're back round to the corner of the kitchen wall, which is where the kitchen garden is going to be. I've got some potatoes in here that need harvesting. I am also growing some sweet potato, which I've never grown before, and yeah, I'm intrigued to see how that turns out. But the sweet corn is doing amazingly well, even though it's in a pot. And then not quite sure how to integrate these islands, so if you've got any ideas, please do let me know. As I say, greenhouse will be over there with a seating area in front. We need a little shady seating area underneath. And then we'll be down to the woodland, but I want to make garden rooms. I do have 2 large dogs, which I need space for to run around. This is Bella and Bonnie, my 2 Old English poodle cross. This is Bella, my old girl. She is 11 and a half, and this is Bonnie, who is 3 years old. No doubt you will see plenty of those in the garden. I've got to try and train Bonnie not to trample all my new flowers when I plant them. Bella's a bit more seasoned, aren't you, Bells? I'm really open to any ideas you might have how to tackle this, because I'm slightly overwhelmed by the size of it. We've had a decent sized garden. Actually, the biggest one we've had was just about 1/3 of an acre. And it was too small. I tend to expand and remove more and more grass until it's just flowers. But now that we've got the ride-on mower, I did have great fun. I managed to mow all of this, and it does switch your brain off in just short of an hour, which I thought was great going. Sorry about the traffic. So my first plan, and I've walked into it without thinking, is so where the patio ends here, to take a square, which will be quite big actually. That area from the garage door across to where Bonnie is just over 7 meters. So if I come out 7 meters and make a square, I was thinking I could make a raised border around 3 sides. I don't know how deep I need to make that, maybe, 1.5 meters deep or something. And I want to enclose the area and make a fire pit area, because obviously I can move my sofa off the patio and bring it into this area, and we've got a fire pit we can put in the centre. I might gravel this bit and I want to be enclosed by flowers, and I'd quite like to make it circular. I know it's all square here, but I think if I make the gravel area circular, the plants can then wrap around us. I've got some solar powered fairy lights that I can hang up to the house. Yeah, that might be one of the first jobs we do after the greenhouse. The greenhouse is destined to be delivered at the end of September. They did say the end of August, but there was no way we were going to be ready. We've got to prep. So the current greenhouse does have power and the little falling down shed. So we need to extend the power from the little greenhouse to there. So we've got to dig a trench, bury the cable. Sorry about the dog. Dig a trench, bury the cable to get it into the new greenhouse. And we need to lay a base of some description. It says you can lay it on the ground, but we are on clay soil here and it is a bit wet in the winter. So I'm thinking I need to put it on brick or concrete or slab of some description. I will have borders inside, possibly raised bed borders with a path down the middle, but that's to come. So at the end of September we'll be doing that job, so it'd be good if you came along with us for that. Yeah, so what do you think about this idea? Do you think it would be a good one? I almost forgot to show you the top end of the garden. I forget because it's separated by a fence. The previous occupants used to keep pinioned oriental ducks. When we came, there was one solitary duck, and she was a bit of an escape artist and kept getting out. This is before the dogs arrived, who were staying at my mum's while we moved. And she's shot off into next doors. They've got a lovely big pond. And she's not returned since the dogs got here. So we can adjust this now, because it was all meshed and fenced off so that she couldn't escape, but somehow she managed it anyway. As you can see, the fence has seen better days. Bonnie follows me everywhere. All right, you stay there. I don't want her jumping in the pond. This is the duck pond garden, as I call it. There was a fence across the middle there to stop her getting into that section. We took that out. So there's an old shed there which used to have chickens in it, but it's a little bit ramshackled. There's a sad and sorry looking plum, barely any leaves, had a few fruits. Another plum there looking a bit sad. This is the duck pond. The water is really low, but we've had not very much rain recently. But also I think there might be a leak because it did start to rise and now it's gone down again. It got up onto this black plastic area here. But it's very green. We put some barley straw in and I've thrown some pondweed in and some sludge clear, but I suspect we may have to eventually replace the liner and reconfigure because obviously the duck has now left home and it would be better as a wildlife pond, I think. So what would you do with this area? They've obviously planted trees in here before. Would you make it into an orchard? Put some apples, pears, more plums, etc. Over on this side we've got some hawthorn trees and it's just grass at the minute. There is water up here. Got a magnificent rose up here in the hedge. Look at the size of its trunk. It's obviously been there a while. So there's an old compost heap over there. Obviously I need to set up a new composting area. And the big shed, as we call it, which is fabulous, more like a cabin to be honest. It's got a workbench in it. Workbench and power. And the majority of my gardening tools, which are obviously a million miles from where my garden is going to be. So we might have to replace the falling down shed and reconfigure that. But this could be a really lovely area as well. So obviously we're parking our motorhome here at the moment. But yeah, what would you do with this? Wildlife pond and orchard. I suppose I could make it into a chicken coop area. They did have chickens here before. Bonnie just sits patiently waiting for me. She desperately wants to get in so that she can jump in the pond. But having seen the colour of it and the colour of her, it's not happening, Bonnie. I'm sorry, you're not allowed in. You're not allowed in, missus. Back up. So that is the plot. Please feel free to share with me whatever you think might be a good place to start, because I really don't know what I'm doing. I have been gardening for most of my adult life, but somehow with this amount of space it feels a little bit more overwhelming. But a garden this size, I obviously need to do a few plants and grow a lot from seed because the cost of plants these days is extortionate. Whatever you're doing in your garden, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for coming along. And if you came along from our other channel, which is Bella's Big Adventures motorhoming channel, then thank you very much. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. It would be much appreciated. And don't forget to share with your friends. Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you all. I'll see you in the next one.